Good Wednesday morning, everybody. It is March the 23rd, 2016. Currently 9:36. We have basically a fairly uneventful open. Yes, gap down about 0.47%. VIX popped up about 0.17%. And we don't have a lot of stocks in place based upon my scans this morning. We do have a couple of news events coming out shortly. 10 o'clock we got consumer sentiment and... Excuse me. 10 o'clock we got existing home sales, and then 10:30 we have the EIA report. So definitely those can move the markets. So I don't want to be getting too aggressive in the morning here. So we're gonna really just be watching our key levels as usual around the opening ranges, see how the broader markets, the ES and YM, react to those levels, and also be paying attention to the VIX products and seeing how those guys react to those levels. Lately, that strategy or that approach has been very successful for me. So that is the way I use the method which I use to frame my trades. So on a bigger perspective, let's take a look at a more granular perspective. Let's take a look at the sectors. Right now, all the sectors are in red except for healthcare, but it looks like that one's gonna fall into the red as it just did there. So, we've got the worst sector being builders again. So this is probably, the third or fourth session now where the builders have been in the red, right at the open. Followed by, followed by discretionary, and then energy, and then relatively the best performers right now are energy and healthcare and staples. So they're all in the red, but right now, it's we have a few sectors that are just barely in the red. So the VIX is popping to the upside here, and this is actually one that I'm actually interested in taking, so I'm actually going to get set up here. And we have a few seconds to get ready for this one. So let's just see if I can actually record this live trade here. I want to be getting long at 1885. 1885. And I'm looking to get long now. So order in, stop limit 1885. Looking for the pop out of this opening range right there. This is what I would call an early bird setup. Now on the what we like about this VIX scenario here is that we do have some unfilled gaps on the VIX. So if we bring up the larger chart here on the on the daily time frame, and I'm using another computer to look at my daily charts. We do have some unfilled gaps to the upside, quite a bit higher though, like around $22. So that one there would be quite a ways higher. Just going to give it a second here. We could get filled here momentarily. And there we are. Just got filled, 1885. Set my stop in, set my targets as well. Okay. And actually, I probably got filled on a little bit. I could have actually got filled 1884. That's a little bit of a mistake on my end there. Could have taken that less aggressively, but right now the stock is moving in my favor. So this is something to be definitely working on. Like for instance, just that was a 1 penny mistake, right? So depending on how this trade plays out, that could or may not be significant. But if you're really serious about getting better, then these are the small little things that add up. So I'm gonna be making a note of that I made a slight error there on when I got in. I could have gotten 1 penny better. But right now it's working in my favor, but that still was if I'm honest with myself, that was a mistake. So 1885 I'm long, and we're going to begin to manage this trade. All right, so a quick look at the broader markets here, because I think that's important. The ES, alternatively has fallen down, right? Has broken down. Look at the SPY. I had drawn in these ranges before, the green and reds. Anything below the red here, I was looking to get what for me was a sign of weakness, and it's broken down now out of that area of red, outside of its opening range lows. So let's see if there's enough movement here in the time between now in news at 10 o'clock to get us some good gains. Alright, 9:41. Alright, so quick update, guys. 9:57. We've got about 2 more minutes, 2.5 minutes before news comes out at 10. And we're up nice right now. We're up about 0.1.5%, 0.1.5 R on the VIX trade. And so at this point, you have the option of doing a couple of things. You can either A, close a trade out before news, or B, let the news pass through and simply move your stop to a place where you feel comfortable that you're not giving back too much money. So I'm going to elect to do the latter. I like the way the stock is acting right now, the VIX is acting. So I'm actually moving my stop to 1884 to par, basically. So the worst that can happen is I want to par in this trade, and we'll move on to the next trade. But right now, we're up about plus 1.5 R. We came within 1 penny of getting our 2 R target, which then I would trail to plus 1 R. It's just the approach I would use today for the VIX. And let's just give it a couple more minutes till news comes out. So right now, it's trading right at 19 bucks. And the broader markets, if you go look at the ES, for instance, it's consolidating right around its opening range lows. Now, this is actually a pretty productive pattern for the ES. This is actually a nice little pattern here, where if it pops out to the upside, then I think there's a good likelihood that the ES could make a rally to the upside here. So this is why it's important, to look at the market in several different angles. That's my perspective. I like to see it across various instruments to get this extra layer of confluence. So, the YM, same thing. We had a nice little bounce here around the opening range lows. If this guy here can pop above now, this area of, let's say, 17,453, I'll just draw it in there now, right there, then we can expect this guy to perhaps push higher. But if it breaks below this low here of 17,431, then the selling, I think, can resume. So worst comes to worst right now, we'll par out on this trade, 1884, and I think there's a possibility we might get a little spike here. Let's see what happens here. News coming out in 20 seconds. Hey guys, alright, so still hanging in there. News came out, it did a bit of a wiggling around. I'm actually going to trail my stuff up to 1892 just to capture some potential gains here, because I think it can go higher. By this point here, the YM and the ES also have the potential here to also move higher. So right now we have a bit of a sell-off going on here, but I still think we're still sitting in this pretty range here for the YM, and no one really has the upper hand yet. So once this little bit of chop gets settled out of the way, we're going to get our direction for the morning session, or for this one drive anyways. So right now, I'll pull in my stop a little bit here. I got my stop now at 1892. So that would be slightly below plus 1 R in this trade, and we can reset and find another trade if it comes to that. But right now it's hanging in there, right at the opening range high. This is if we look at the higher time frame, which is what we always do. The higher time frame is showing us that we're right at this opening range high, and we really need to break out of that in a convincing fashion. Let's say the Canadian moving higher, we have some resistance from the previous day in terms of its opening range high. That's going to act as resistance at 1910. So I think that's a natural area for it to get to, or try to get to. I think the expectation is that it's going to go there, but we need to see here if the buyers can actually push it through the opening range at 1907, which right now is acting as support, resistance, excuse me. So let's wait and see what happens. We're in a good position right now to take advantage of it and play that upside continuation. Alright. So if I actually draw my fib grids, and Fibonacci's have been excellent projection tools as of late. Yesterday we had some fibs hit right on the mark. This is how I typically draw my Fibonacci's. You can see here, we hit basically right on the dot on the 127.2 extension there. How I will draw it today is I'll take the low from yesterday and I'll draw it to my opening range high here now that's been set. And you know, we have price projections here of 1925. So that's what the fibs are telling us today, and I'm sure a lot of the people are watching that. Again, I'm not a die-hard Fibonacci trader, although I like to put them on my charts because I think a lot of other people are watching them. So I think those are some important levels just to pay attention to. Okay, on the ES, bigger time frame, again on the 15-minute chart, you can see how yesterday, hit these that 127.2 extension right on the money there. But right now we're sitting right at the opening range lows, right? So here we need to see the sellers continue to push it down. I think right now we see a little bit of buying, so we really want to see how it closes around these levels. So in the next 7 minutes, when this candle closes out, this will give us a very good indication of who's in control. Finally, on the YM's sitting in its range, right? So this right now is basically a stalemate for the YM, right? It's sitting inside its opening ranges, right? Where it's really a no man's land here. Okay, so it's 10:08. We're waiting for a directional push of one sort or another to give us an indication on where it's going to go. Right now, the VIX is wanting to go higher. So again, let's see if it can begin to get to the levels we spoke about just a couple of moments ago. 10:08, pretty uneventful trading so far. Let's see where it goes from here. Alright, so quick update. So we got stopped out on the VIX position, which is a good call to it was a good call to move our stop up, because in all likelihood now the VIX is going to come back down. Because if you take a look on the higher time frame, as we talked about just a few moments in our last update, it was fighting with this opening range high, and it was really acting as resistance. It could not break out of that, so now the anticipation is going to come back in here into these moving averages, and then we can see if there's actually any consolidation here that can then indicate some progressive upside. On the flip side, the ES on this higher time frame on the 50-minute chart, we saw what happened there, right? It looked like it was going to break through that opening range low. In fact, it did not, right? So it bounced off of that opening range low, and so those guys who went short down here thinking it was going to be a breakout or sell-off, they're trapped, right? So now they're uncomfortable, and they're going to have to sit through this kind of retracement here, perhaps to these levels here, 2037. Same thing on the YM. So the YM, was sitting in this range, opening range high, or opening range, and now it's popped out of its opening range high. So this is the scenario that I was talking about before, which is why I didn't want to get too aggressive, and I decided to trail my stop in a bit early. So just looking at the Fibonacci's here, again, it's very likely that this thing goes back easily to 1473, 17,473 to these levels here, and then we want to see here what kind of conditions are met at those levels. So right now, this is actually quite productive for the YM on this intraday 2-minute chart. So look at the XIV now. I like trading. Lately, I've really been enjoying trading the VIX products. And XIV, has made its little move here to the upside. So I expect it to run into some resistance here at 24.45. That probably will cap the upside for a little bit, and then we want to be watching how it reacts to those levels. Alright, 10:15 on that VIX trade we caught. We closed out at 1892, so that was about 0.75 hour in that trade. So actually probably about closer to a half an hour in that trade. So nothing to write home about right now. So we'll just reset and we'll wait to get involved again. Alright, so the EIA number just came out. I'm looking at the DWTI, which is the inverse crude product. And you can see that, right before the news, it was trending higher, and then just basically news came out, collapsed, right? So it looked like the VIX was, trying to make its way higher, like it was trying to get back up there again. But you can see news came out 10:30 and collapsed. And this is why, for these big news numbers, especially with oil being the catalyst that it is nowadays, it's important not to try to get in front of these things, because it is kind of gambling. You don't really know how the market's going to react. So so that's it's a place now where we can reset and see where the market goes from here. The YM has been gaining strength here, so it was gaining strength. It popped out of this little opening range, traded above for a little bit. But you look at the higher time frame, it's kind of what we talked about before, right? We have these moving averages above it here that are acting as resistance. And so it really takes a bit of time. If it's going to clear through these things, it's going to take a bit of time as well as some buying power to get through these areas of resistance. Like even look at yesterday's movement in the past couple sessions. These moving averages, just to draw it in here, had acted as resistance on these previous sessions, right? So you can see here, we have some resistance being created. It really takes a significant amount of buying. In this example here, it has to, have a significant amount of buying to get to pop through those levels. After which it has to consolidate usually a bit, either by pulling back or just trading sideways before it continue to go up higher. This is what happened yesterday, right? So we had a good strong momentum breaking through, pull back into the moving averages before it can actually follow through. So that's it's been a consistent pattern in the past 2 sessions. Here today, we had the same condition, right? Can it break through these moving averages? Can we get enough buying power, enough interested buyers to push through these things? If not, you can see what's happening now. The buyers could not break through these levels, and we're back within our opening range again. So we're really, again, back inside this opening range, and for me, it's kind of a stalemate, right? At this point here, we're back to where we started. So back on the VIX here, the VIX is kind of just trading sideways, kind of a messy chop right now. You don't want to probably get too there'll be more setups. You don't want to get too rushed to try to get into this stuff, because right now it's not clean, it's not clear. You can definitely wait a little bit longer until this bar settles out. Like this is a lot of movement here on this bar, so I'd rather wait for it to kind of settle out a bit, have some consolidation, and look for a lower risk entry. Okay, 1034. Alright, quick update. So I actually just took this trade probably about 5 minutes ago and just did not have the camera running to capture it. But I've been stalking VRX today because VRX is what I call a second stock that's in play, because it's a second day play, meaning yesterday it popped up. Of course, VRX is the infamous pharmaceutical company that everyone's been trying to short, Valiant. Popped up yesterday, had a nice trending day, and this is what you call a second day play. As the second day after the news or the catalyst comes out, oftentimes you have a good trading opportunity. So I went long at 33.11. You can see by the gray risk to rewards there. It's where I got long on this kind of strength of this bar here. That was very interesting to me, and I got long when it pulled back here at 33.11, and it's skyrocketed. So I'm up +4 on the R in the trade now. I have moved my stop to +3R just to capture a partial here when it if it comes back in. So the only unfortunate part, and there we go, I just got filled on that little bit of a pullback. The only unfortunate part on this trade was that number one, I wasn't able to capture it with the camera being on, which is too bad because it was a nice trade. And number two, it moved very fast in the sense that I wasn't entirely ready for it, so I didn't get my order in as quickly as I wanted. So I only got filled on half the position I wanted. So we still captured a good 3R trade, but only on half size. So that's the name of the game, right? If you're not on top of things, and you can't always be on top of things as much as you would like, then if you get your orders in late, then oftentimes you're not going to get the fills that you want. So good trade, +3R in that trade. Unfortunately, just wasn't sized to what I wanted it to be at. So that's the name of the game. Sometimes still, a good result in that one. So nice, very good result in that one. But again, because I was only filled on half size, basically instead of having a 3R trade, it's more like a 1.5R trade, right? All right, so let's keep looking here. VRX actually is, again, still in an uptrend here. I think it still can go higher. If you take a look at this 15-minute chart here, if it breaks out of this opening range, it has a very good likelihood of now going to 34.62. All right, so you know, this would actually be actually another place to get long here. So let's give this one a shot. I'm going to try to get long here again at 33.66. Wanted to show me some strength, and let's put the order in right now. And it's moving fairly fast again. And let's see if we can get long on this guy on a full position. Okay, 33.66. And there we are. I'm filled for my full position. Excellent. So this time we got a full position on. So I'll redraw my risk to rewards here. 33.66. And that's the play. VRX. Let's keep an eye on it. It's moving fast already, right? Can I see it's got momentum now with a lot of volume behind it. So good potential in VRX today, especially if it can make its way up to the 34.62 level, which would be up here, which would be another plus 3R on the day for that trade. So let's see where it goes and let's manage it from there. 10.57. All right, so quick update. VRX position is now working well, up plus 1R on that. You know, classic break out of the opening range, followed by some consolidation with lots of time to get long, and then a pop to the upside, right? So it really doesn't get any more classic than that on accompanying buying volume. So at this point here, this is a good trade. We're up plus 1 here. I'm going to move my stop a little bit to trail it. And again, we'd love to see this thing get to 34.62, right? Whether it can get there in a straight line or not, that's going to be the question, or you know, whether we're going to have to sit through a bit of a chop and churn. So on the broader markets, the VIX has actually popped up. So it had that little period that we talked about before, where it pulled back. It is not smooth sailing yet on the VIX. It's not, you know, clear. It's actually quite choppy today on the broader markets. As you can see here, it kind of had to pop out of this descending trend line, you could call it that. Depends on, you know, how you want to draw that guy. You could even draw it like that. If that's the case, it did not break through. At this point, it's, you know, still in this kind of choppiness. You really need to see it clear its opening range highs. You know, we drew that in here at 1907. You know, first thing in the session. It really needs to get above these levels before this thing can really take off. Because right now it's stuck at these levels of resistance. And in fact, we have, you know, more resistance kind of happening here at 1902 now. So I'm just going to update these lines really quickly. I see 1902 kind of capping our current move here, and this low of 1891. 1891. You want to kind of see those levels and see how they react to that. And on the ES and YM, let's just take a look at YM first. You know, YM back to its opening range highs again, right? So this is what we talked about before. It just today there are buyers down here, right? So there are buyers at this opening range low. Every time we get to that level, we have buyers stepping in. So it's really kind of a stalemate today on the YM. We really want to see that same condition we talked about before, right? We got to see this strong buying power break through these moving averages. Then it might consolidate a bit before it can move higher. But right now, with the moving averages currently trending downwards, as we saw in the previous two sessions, we need to see quite a bit of buying power for this guy to really clear these guys and move higher. So don't expect it to be, you know, a clear shot today. It's going to take some time for this stuff to work itself out, and that's kind of the, you know, the market conditions that you need to be aware of when you're taking your trades, because the you know, that very, very much plays into it. These higher time frames, you can't just take trades outside of that context. So it's 11:09. Pretty good trading today so far. We're up. You know, we took that 0.5R trade on the VIX in the morning. We captured +3 on a half size, so I'm calling it a +1.5. So we're up +2R right now. That VRX position we're currently in is also up +1R. So we're currently up +3R, and I still believe that VRX has room to move. So good trading so far. 11:10. Another quick update. So, VRX hit plus 2R, so I've now trailed my stop to plus 1R. So, the worst that we're going to end up with today is a plus 3R day. So, really would like to see this thing move up to 34.62. Let's see if the buyers can continue to push it or whether or not it's been pushed too far. At this point here, I'm happy with the 1R. With the 1R trade, I've locked that one in already. So we'll see how price reacts to this. But at this point, we've got some good momentum on VRX, and you can see by that bar there, we're not far away now from that 34.62 level. We came within 7 cents. So good trade on VRX. Just in stop or just in risk management mode at this point. 11.14. Alright, another update. So stopped out at 33.98, which is a good level to get stopped out. Went up plus 2R, then I got stopped out at plus 1R, so that's exactly what my trailing stop was there for. So at this point here, I'm actually going to call it a day. Plus 3R on the day. We caught some good trades this morning, and the markets right now are just kind of going sideways. So I don't just see, it's going to take some time for this stuff to resolve, and I'm happy with the results we've captured this morning. All right, hope you enjoyed the video. Happy trading.